Welcome everyone to the second year of the International Year of Caves and Karst, extended because of the pandemic. And of course, I hope everyone and all your loved ones and friends are well. The purpose of this short talk is to introduce you to the International Year, its goals. I'll focus a little bit about cave conservation and about what we're doing now, but a lot of it is really what we do after the International Year is over. So what is the International Year of Caves and Karst? It's organized by the UIS, the International Union of Speleology, and its goal is basically to educate all of these different people, but it's really to educate the world, to educate the public, lawmakers, land managers, teachers, everyone about the importance and the challenges that occur in caves and karst. As Marie just mentioned, the theme of the International Year is explore, understand, and protect. Because especially when it comes to caves and karst, without exploration, you cannot conduct the research necessary to understand those resources in order to have effective and sustainable protection and long-term management. Now, educating the world is a challenge, and you might wonder, how can we do this? So let me explain how. The UIS, the International Union of Speleology. Words are incredibly powerful, and that is an incredibly powerful name. Think about it. International, everyone in the world. Union, working together. And what are we working together for? Speleology. The UIS is made up of 57 member countries and represents all the people in those countries. So the International Year is not just organized by myself and the 11 other people on the UIS Bureau. It's everyone coming together from around the world to make this possible. And so part of the goal of this presentation is also to encourage your participation. This event, this school that we're doing today, is an event of the International Year. So there's so much that can be done. To learn more about the International Year, here's the website. Correction on the address that Marie gave. It's IYCK2021.org. I've made the same mistake, don't worry. IYCK 2021. And there's information about caves and karst to teach people in general, events that we have organized, partners, and especially go to the download page to learn more about how you can become active and use all of the materials. When you come up to the website, you will see this video, 6.5 minutes, excellent video done. Show it to your friends, your family, anyone interested. In 6.5 minutes, it beautifully illustrates what caves and karst are, why they're important, why we're organizing this International Year. So the summary results as of 3 days ago, when I updated the statistics, we have 260 partner organizations from 50 different countries. In 2021, we had 390 events. Currently, we have 26 events planned for 2022, and 13 of these events are multiple events, meaning they happen once a month or every 2 weeks or something. So we have more events than just the 26. We've had 66 government proclamations. This photo here shows me holding the proclamation by the governor of the US state of New Mexico, where the state recognizes the International Year and its importance. And so we've reached over 50 million people so far with this International Year, and more events are needed. Right now, again, only 26 events are planned. I know more are coming, but more events are needed. This event is one, but our goal is to reach the world. And just in general, no event is too small. No event is too local. Even if you go out and you just meet with 5 or 10 people, those are 5 or 10 people who learned something about caves and karst that otherwise would not have known. So it's all important. It is all important. The most significant event ever, in my view, and history will prove if I'm right or wrong, was held in September. September 13th, my wife's birthday. I wasn't with my wife on her birthday. I was in Paris at UNESCO headquarters. UNESCO invited the UIS to celebrate the International Year at their headquarters. And this was huge because never before in the history of cave and karst science, cave exploration, has this governmental body of international leaders invited anyone to go and teach them about caves and why they're important. But as that shows here at the bottom, it's only the beginning. The invitation was good. It was important. Now we need to build on that. And so we're building on it with the UIS, working directly with UNESCO and with partners. We build on that with all of you, going out and telling your governments, telling your agencies, your organizations that this is important. UNESCO has recognized this. You know, this is important. So it validates what you're doing, gives you credibility. Now, during the presentation to UNESCO, these are the photos that I showed, this and the next two are three photos that I showed to UNESCO, where we asked three things. And while it says UNESCO here, it really applies to any organization. And so the first thing we asked was to encourage UNESCO or any organization to develop inventories of all their caves, karst features, and contents in their protected areas. For example, this is a cave I've studied in Mexico. It has archaeological materials in it, about 1,200 years old. We wouldn't know about this material, that it needs study, that needs protection, unless we explored, unless we did that inventory. The next step that we asked for them is to evaluate the protected areas to see if the protection is adequate. You've finished your inventory. Now, is the protection adequate? And if it's not, then expand the protection as needed. So for example, my friend here is standing in a cave stream. The entrance to the cave is protected. It's about 1,000 meters off to the right. But by exploring and studying these caves, we find this passage, and this black stuff here is toxic pollution, just many, many different bad chemicals coming in. It's coming in from an area that's not protected. We wouldn't know about this problem if we didn't go inside the cave and inventory and explore it. And so as a result, the protection area needed to be expanded to clean up and prevent this problem. The third thing, which ties very closely and dearly to the Speleothem School, is where the UIS is developing an international ban on the trade of cave materials. And that includes speleothems, but of course also animals, sediments, bones, rocks, other materials. These materials cannot be sustainably taken out of caves. We know that they cause great damage. There's a great scientific loss, as we know, with the harvesting of speleothems. And so we're developing this international ban. And so part of the cave conservation topic that I'm talking about here is very long-term. This is very similar to CITES, the trade, the ban on the trade of endangered species that the IUCN developed in 1963. And slowly since 1963, they now have close to 70 countries that have signed on. You know, so the ban that UIS develops will not have any power of law, but we hope it will be adopted by governments to give it power of law in their countries. So the next steps for all of us as we work toward conserving caves, especially toward the future, is first to make connections with local to international governmental agencies and organizations. These logos here are from a conference that was organized in the US for the International Year. You will recognize many different cave groups here, but more importantly, there are groups here that are not typically associated with caves. And we need those people as partners. We can't reach the world if we do not include the world. We also have major governmental organizations who are partners. And so reach out to people, especially organizations that do not focus on caves. Show them how caves and karst are important to them. Also, connect with the news media, because the news media is our voice to the public. They will take your voice, your information, and spread it widely through TV, newspapers, radio, whatever, internet, and get the word out to reach hundreds of thousands and millions of people. Once you connect with these other people, establish relationships, identify specific, realistic, and achievable actions, and work together with those organizations, with those people to make those actions a reality. But also understand that there's a need and limit on how much you can compromise. For example, this is a cave, a small cave. It has endangered species in it. There was a need to protect this cave. And so there is a need, but there are limits. How much land can be protected? There's already areas built up around it. The limits on compromise is that you can compromise on some things unless it defeats the purpose of what you're trying to do, unless your goal is not met. If you don't meet the goal, in this case of protecting the endangered species or protecting water quality or whatever the goal is, then you cannot compromise that far. But sometimes compromise is needed. Next step is to continue to educate the world. And we start by educating both the uneducated people about caves and karst, but also the educated. This is at a meeting. Professor of Geology and excellent karst scientist teaches a group of geologists here about karst topography. There's a sinkhole, a doline here in front of them, and he's teaching them about karst hydrogeology. So there are many people who study the geosciences, who study biological, archaeological sciences, who do not understand about caves and karst. And so educating the educated as well as the uneducated is important. But then we need to expand that knowledge into personal investment. So if people feel a personal connection, a personal need to support caves and karst, because once they feel invested, once they feel connected, they become natural partners, and then partners take action. I'm traveling right now, and I'm in the city of San Antonio, Texas, in the US. And the pink area here shows the karst area that drains into the karst aquifer that feeds 2 million people in San Antonio. And what the people did here, they learned about karst, the public learned about karst. They voted 4 times to tax themselves, to raise money to buy these orange and green and yellow properties over the karst, to protect their water supply, to protect the karst, because they became educated, they felt a personal investment, they became partners, and they went to action to protect their karst. So to close, be the future. We want to protect caves and karst. We want to conserve these things for the future. I'm inviting and asking you to be that future, to make it possible. So please keep exploring, continue your research, continue developing events and promotions, not just for the International Year, but beyond the International Year. Follow up with decision makers, people of influence on these, what I'm calling the UNESCO proposals, because they really apply to everyone. And I know that there are many young scientists here in this meeting. And so I really emphasize, don't forget about tomorrow's scientists, not just the ones who are in the call, but maybe the young ones, young girls, boys who are maybe 5 years old, 10 years old, who will be tomorrow's leaders. Make sure that they grow and become educated and aware and supportive of caves and karst. So if there's time for questions, I think I have a few minutes before my next meeting. Yes, I have 7 minutes. I'd be glad to take some if there's time. So thank you very much.